Welcome back. Ayo and Tim are with me. Later is the papers and everything else, including the dating app that lets you filter men by height. The blokes are furious about it. Now, I'd love your calls on this. What do you make of advice that we should only drink one glass of wine a year? 020 7862 2222 is the number. Tell us what you think. The guy is Professor David Nutt. He's a former government advisor. There he is, and says, ideally, we would only have one alcoholic drink per year, and any more than that risks causing harm. He said if alcohol was invented today, it would not pass safety checks and would be banned from shops based on its toxicology, its poisonous nature. So just for reference, the NHS currently advises adults to consume no more than 14 units a week. Now, if you come over to this board, I can show you that would be... These are 250 millilitre glasses. So in a week, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are. That would be a weekly allowance. And in a year, therefore, you'd have 5 times 52, which is 260 glasses a year. So currently, the NHS says you can drink that safely, right? David Nutt comes in and says, no, if you actually look at this rationally as a scientist, you can only drink that safely. And that is one glass. This is one per year. Per year. You'd have to think, well, you're going to 2 weddings this year. Which one am I going to drink the glass of wine at? There we are. So, and I'm even more stark than that. We've worked out that this is a nice big glass of wine here. Obviously, that's more than a year's worth of wine. And I have a pipette here. And the daily allowance, if you were going to drink wine every day, under the Nutt rule, can you see that? It's just under 1 millilitre, 0.96, just where I've drawn it to. So I'm now going to draw out, just to show you this, I'll draw out the daily allowance. So here we go, and this will be very, very quick. So just a little bit more. This is very important we get this right. Ah, it's perfect. Just a tiny, that's it. So can you see that there? Just have a look at that. Let me put my hand behind it and you can see it. Okay? That is the daily allowance. Now, you may say that's... I'm going to just, again, let's do the white background here so you can see this come in. Here we go. Right, ready? This is one day. That is it! I might as well have it now, you know. Oh, that's nice. But that's it. That would be it for the day. I mean, he's a scientist anyway. He knows what he's talking about. This is nuts, isn't it?
Well, his name is Nuts.
His name is Nuts. I fell for it.
I love it.
And I wonder if he carries a little pipette to weddings.
I wonder if he actually sticks to his rules.
Well, I don't know, but as he says rightly, Tim, this is a poison, and you've got to watch what you do with poisons.
Well, I could never live by this rule. I drink too much, and I recognise some tendencies in me. I could have a problem with alcohol. I know I could, and I watch myself because of it. And
how much do you drink a day? How many units?
I drink most days. I don't know how many units I drink, but during lockdown, early in the day, one morning I woke up and I wanted to drink, very early in the day. And it frightened me a great deal, actually. And I immediately took a week off from drinking. But that experience...
A week?
A week? Well, it was a
That sounds like an emergency.
But it was a start. But
yeah.
I'm probably saying too much, but I could have a problem. I could have a problem with alcohol. But alcohol is very dangerous. I've seen families, with the work that we do at the Centre for Social Justice, we've seen families' lives absolutely ruined by alcohol. It brings you, to an earlier death. I think this is unrealistic sort of recommendation, though. People should cut back. They should be aware of signals that like I responded to. But one glass of wine. Well,
teetotalers tend to die earlier. We know that.
Odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it is odd. I mean, it's a statistical quirk because a lot of teetotalers are ex-alcoholics, but it's always a nice stat to throw around in company. Yeah. So let's
maybe they live longer, but it just feels longer.
Go on, yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on this because I think as a culture we don't talk about the risk of this, and it's really lovely of you to be so open and sharing. But we don't talk about the risk of it because it's so normalised, especially in Britain. Like I was at university and I didn't drink. I'm just not a drinker really. But you have to explain to people why you don't want to drink in our culture, and we normalise it because we don't see the risk associated with it. And here we're talking about health risk, toxicity, but there's also the risk of the social implications, like what Tim's alluding to, domestic violence, or I mean, I was a counsellor and sat on social care and children's services. It has implications. Alcohol was one of the key golden threads in some of these narratives. So it costs our economy, actually, and crime, back to some of the things we're talking about. So actually, I think even though it seems quite extreme, 1 glass a year, but I think it lets us understand just the significance of the poison.
Yeah, and I think maybe
really
that's what he's doing.
It in that way.
That in the end, I think that's what he's doing. He's saying, look, if I'm going to be really rational about this and factual, you drink 1 glass of wine a year. That's what, and he's made us think about how much we drink. I think I had a couple last night. I was out for dinner with some friends. Yes. I did. I had 2 years' worth of wine in a single evening.
You're done for the year.
Yeah, that's it. That's me done.
And next year, so you have to.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I think this guy, though, he's either vented or he's behind sponsoring a form of drink that means that you get the same sort of stimulation, the same tipsiness from this substance without the alcoholic damage. And actually, I'm going to experiment with that just to see whether, because I don't just drink to enjoy it. I do enjoy it, but it does help me relax, in social settings of that. And so if there's something else that helps me do that without having the negative effect on my health, that's probably something I should explore.
Would Reform consider banning alcohol?
I don't think so.
Any party that did that, that would go through the floor, wouldn't they?
Vote killer.
It would be a disaster. But it's interesting, in the States they did it in the 1920s because they were quite Puritan, and it went badly wrong because they realised people were going to have these, what they call speakeasies and these unofficial brewing places, and people brewed their own, and then men went on marches saying, and the placards said, "We want beer." It's like one of the best placards ever. Lillian's in Surrey. I hope we're taking this seriously enough, Lillian, because, of course, this substance does a lot of damage, doesn't it?
You say 1 glass of wine per year.
Yes, that's what he said. There we are. It's over there.
The problem I have with 1 glass a year is being an ex-alcoholic.
Yep.
1 glass a year. You have parties, weddings, bits and pieces. 1 glass a year is ridiculous. And
well, it's not, obviously wouldn't be compulsory. When you say you're an ex-alcoholic, are you worried that you'd have to time your glass in a really safe way, or what?
How are you going to regulate this 1 glass a year, and how is it going to affect?
Yeah, well, that's true. We need a whole squad. I think we quite often set up squads on this programme and they'd have to go around looking at people's drinking. You
go into a supermarket, you buy a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And once you open a bottle of wine, it doesn't last long. Yeah,
well.
But you can't have 1 glass.
Well, you'd have to have one of those vacuum pumps. Or you could share it. I mean, obviously, he's saying something that is so crazy. It's there to make.
It's a practical thing.
Let me ask you a serious question. As an ex-alcoholic, can you drink anything at all or not?
I can, but I don't want to.
Because with alcoholics, they say if you have 1 drink, you're dead, type of thing. Because immediately.
A friend of mine is an alcoholic, difficult. And restaurants don't make this easy. They have to go into restaurants and quite interrogate the chef about making sure there's no wine or anything in the sauces.
Oh, really?
And because they are so worried that just the beginning of the taste of that will put them back onto the bottle.
Really? But it's all been boiled off, hasn't it, in the process?
I think, well, he says that he can still taste it. Wow. And if he can still taste it, well, they advertise it, don't they? It's a red wine sauce or something. Yeah. And so if he still can taste it, it's feeding his habit. So I think one thing that's useful about this sort of debate is, as a culture, I think we need to be much more sensitive about how addictive this substance is, how dangerous it is, and when someone is obviously in a struggle with it, to help them and make it easier. And we don't make it easier for them.
I feel like I should do this once more. This would be the daily amount. Let's just see if we can do this. The daily amount under the Nutt rule. And I'm not going to drink this time because I'll be out for the count. I've got very, very...
It's Ayo's turn.
Low.
Oh, I can't. No tolerance.
Here it goes. That's your daily amount done. Right? Enjoy it. After the break, it's the papers and everything else, including the reason Meghan is pausing sales.